Welcome to Generational Differences with Beckham and Brett.
You
Yeah.
call your report what the frack?
No.
Why not? What are you gonna call it? I like what the frack.
See, here's the thing. It was already named for us. It's kind of a default. We just fill it in with words and, we're the ones actually typing in, what it's saying, and then the names and stuff are
So it's
already.
called default? Well, shouldn't they be calling it F fault for because they're creating new are they creating new fault lines with the fracking so then it could be called F fault instead of
Fault lines are made by, continental divides, plate.
C.
So,
And we're back for
back.
our 11th episode. Well, first of all, it's Wednesday. How's your week going, dude?
It's going great. It's going great.
That sounds convincing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No. Why is it not going great?
Just stuff. I don't know. It's just been in a gloomy mood. It's just been raining a lot, actually.
Yeah.
That's why. Weather kind of does stuff with my emotions. So,
Yeah, I know. It's weird when you get 300 days a year of sunshine, right? It rains a little bit and then you're not
yeah.
feeling
And
so
here's
great.
the weird part. It's just it's not really the bad weather, really. It's just of how wacky it is. Because, 1 minute it can be pouring like 16 inches. And then the next, it's just sunny. It's weird.
16 inches, that's hyperbole, right?
Hyperbole, yeah.
It's
You
one
know
minute
what I
it's
mean?
dumping water and then next it's sunny.
Yeah, it's just going nuts and then
You
sun.
obviously don't remember your time in Seattle, do you?
It was just rainy all the time.
Not all the time. It would rain in the morning and then would just stop, kind of just like you were talking about. So, and you're probably also a little sad. We were talking about, well, I think we picked our topic because you're talking about at school. You're talking about fracking, right?
We had to study and make a report on it
On
for,
fracking.
curriculum. So we
Yeah.
were supposed to do about the earthquakes and oil mining and stuff about it. So we're just gonna make this video about just extraction of all materials. Just
Hmm.
all of them. Like logging, oil extracting, mining even.
Oh, you're doing all of them. You're doing all
Yeah.
sorts of resource extraction.
Yeah. But
And you're
not but for school it was just for fracking because
oh,
earthquake.
yeah, you and I, like, the talk today, eventually, we're gonna get into resource extraction as a whole. Yeah, was
Yeah.
what we decided on. But, um, but fracking specifically, like, can you tell me what all you learned about it? And we'll start talking about
Well, fracking is just made when oil companies mine down and they reach water. Now, this water is a very special type of water that has chemicals in it that it's made it unable to drink. So they make these wells with of where they put the water down, and they're super deep in the earth, like really deep. And basically when that water is down there for so long, it erodes at the walls when it's getting put down there, of course.
you
So
mean
then,
they push water down there
yeah,
to
to
help
keep it stored.
extract the natural gas?
They just put it down there because it's like a byproduct. So it's not really
Oh, it's a
has anything
byproduct of
trying to
extracting
get the oil. Yeah.
of getting to the natural gas? Okay.
So basically, after that, they put these in these large ones, and it eroded away at the walls until one point they cave in, and that makes this entire thing of where it all the ground goes down, and it makes an epicenter of this giant thing, and it can be felt all around it for miles.
So it creates earthquakes?
Yeah. It
How does the water create earthquakes?
erodes at the inside of the cave, and then finally when it when it breaks down too much, it'll literally go in on itself and try and like fill it up with dirt. And it caves in basically.
Okay, so it's a cave-in that and then everybody can feel the cave-ins.
Yeah, everybody can feel the cave-ins because it's super big. You might think that they're like little tunnels. No, they're like bigger than warehouses. So when they, fall, and they're tall as warehouses, they're wider than warehouses. So as you can think, the epicenter is giant. So it can be felt all around. And see, here's the thing, the more water they're gonna store, the bigger that those tunnels are gonna get, and the bigger the earthquakes are gonna get, and the more people can feel them since oil extracting is getting more common. So, these artificial earthquakes called fracking could happen much more, and it could definitely make Oklahoma a not very suitable place to be because it's always shaking and it's always like doing stuff that's actually dangerous for the Earth. Not Earth, Oklahoma.
So are they like it's not so even after they stop pumping, the earthquakes still happen?
It once like all of them cave in, they'll stop. But if people continue drilling and drilling and drilling and drilling, well, you can guess what
Yeah.
happens. Also, fracking can be caused by cracks in the earth, and those cracks will like shift the land and make it different too. And when that happens, it can make some, things, but those um those are the common ones. The ones that I explained were the big ones. Like there was a there was a on the scale, I forgot, Richter scale, it was a number it was a 6.
Oh, it's a 6 on the Richter scale?
Yeah.
Wow. That was one of the more uncommon ones,
Yeah.
and they traced that back to fracking,
Yeah.
and that was in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Mm.
Of course, it happens other places, but, Oklahoma, that's where it happens most. In 2016, I think there were 901 actual fracking earthquakes. So,
Did you
yeah.
call your report "What the frack"?
No.
Why not? What are you gonna call it? I like "What the frack."
See, here's the thing. It was already named for us. It's kind of a default. We just fill it in with words and like we're the ones actually typing in like, what it's saying and then the names and stuff are
So it's
already
called default? Well, shouldn't they be calling it F-fault for, like 'cause they're creating new f are they creating new fault lines with the fracking so that it could be called F-fault instead of
fault lines are made by, continental divides, like, plate.
so you
So,
so you can't make a new
no, you would have to create an entire new plate. So you kind of can't just like, create one. It would have to be a massive, it'd have to be this giant chain one that happened like in this one giant, like massive area. Basically, part of the ocean, part land, like this entire thing. And then it all goes off at once, like a chain reaction. And it goes like, and it, and they all go and make this giant continent. And that's just part now. That's how the faults are now created. That's a man-made fault, but we can't make those. We just can't. It's
I just
impossible.
don't think we're not trying hard enough at fracking if we can't make our own fault lines.
We don't want fracking. It's dangerous. And plus, if some Hallie, there was a giant frack in the water. Oh, um, basically that could cause a tsunami.
Oh, yeah, if they were fracking under yeah, I guess it could. Good point.
Yeah,
Um,
imagine having you kind of destroyed like entire like continents from you trying to like dig up resources.
so your report's not called F-fault, it's not called "What the
What the
frack,"
frack?
so you just have to call it default?
I mean, it's a default name that they came up with.
What's the default name?
I don't remember.
Well, if you can't give it a catchy name, how are you gonna hook people into reading it?
Actually publishing this, Dad.
Oh, okay. So
Moving on.
the larger question here is so what do you think? So we should talk about resource extraction. So there's finite resources in like in renewable resources. So like natural
Yeah.
gas is probably technically is a would be a finite resource. There's only so much natural gas, kind of like oil.
I I said that we should be if we're using gas cars and we want to continue using gas cars, we got to actually stop making gas cars and start using electric cars or solar cars.
So you think everyone should be driving around on a Cybertruck?
Please no. They can just other companies can probably make their own electric vehicle. And that would be good. That would be good. We wouldn't have to buy those stupid Teslas and Cybertrucks.
So back to resource extraction. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on resource extraction? Like we obviously
Resource
we need it.
extraction can be dangerous, but if the reward's high, very high, very, very high, and benefits and not hurts in any way, then yeah, I'd just say like, yeah, like continue extracting the resource if it isn't hurting the environment and if it isn't really doing anything to hurt humans, we're good.
Yeah. So do you think fracking is hurting the environment?
Huh?
Did
Yeah,
you
it is. It's hurting humans more though.
did you see any of those videos of the kind of like there's been videos, did you see some of the other stuff that happens to people's houses where it's been where they've been fracking?
Yeah, they get destroyed.
How do they get destroyed?
Like earthquake destroyed.
But what
Like
else
how
did
they
you did they talk about any of the other stuff that happens in
no,
people's
they
houses?
didn't let us actually see the demolition of it. They just
So so they also like when they frack around people's houses, like some people can
I can't
actually
get over that.
what you can't get over what?
Frack.
What the frack?
Just like what how you said, a frack around people's houses, it sounds um demonetizationable.
Demonetization. Like you mean like
Basically, we get demonetized. So subscriptions or views or like on YouTube, if we
mm,
have advertisements on our podcast,
oh yes.
none of the money from the advertisements will come from us. None of like the 1 in 1,000. If a thousand views, if we get 1,000 views, we get money.
Mm.
If that happens, well, if that happens and we get demonetized, then we can't actually make money from this episode.
Because I why? Because we're talking about fracking.
Yeah, it can sound like something else, and if you're careful and not careful and you say something that isn't appropriate, then you can get demonetized.
Ah, okay. Well, we have not said anything inappropriate.
No, we just have sounded something that sounds a little bit on the fault of
Okay.
getting demonetized.
So they didn't tell you about like people being able to like put a lighter up to their faucets and actually catch the faucets on like in their houses. Like the natural gas got into their well water. They didn't talk about any of that.
No, and that sounds disgusting.
It is, yeah. No, they so like when they would turn their faucets on, they could actually light their faucets before they would turn the water on. They natural gas was coming out and they would take a lighter to it and it would like actually light like because there's natural gas everywhere.
That's horrible.
And people were getting headaches and stuff like that, I think from all the natural gas that was kind of like leaking out all over the place.
You couldn't see it though because it's gas. It's invisible.
Yeah, there's all sorts of other stuff other than earthquakes that um affect the houses around us. How do you feel about drilling for oil?
drilling for oil is risky and we shouldn't do it. Either way, it's bad for the environment. Why are we still doing it?
What makes you think it's risky?
Fracking, one. Two,
But
what if somebody
fracking's for natural gas. I'm talking about oil for cars. Like,
don't they also get that from drilling?
well, different kind of drilling. But they don't fracking is for natural gas. It's a different process than oil rigs and oil wells. An oil well and a natural gas well are two separate things.
Okay, so basically, I don't think that that's safe too, because what if somebody has an accident? What if somebody falls into one of the wells? You won't see them again. Nobody will see them again. They'll
Well, you
drown
saw
in
the wells.
oil. The oil will be as hard
You saw the
as
oil wells when we
cement.
drove through Texas.
Oh
Remember
yeah, we did.
there were
The
the
rigs.
little hammer things.
I know.
You can't fall into those, I don't think.
Those can also make fracking, by the way.
Mm. So you don't think that we should drill for oil?
No, we shouldn't drill for oil. It's risky, one. Two, it's kind of like it kind of isn't safe either. Like the rigs, they're rigged actually. They're kind of dangerous.
The oil rigs that people work on
Yeah.
out in the
The-
ocean?
Have you seen how they bob up and down and up and down? What if one of the parts, like, the part that goes down and it's kind of not holding on to anything, and somebody gets smacked in the head by that? They're gonna get sent to the hospital.
They
They're
could.
gonna get sent to the hospital, and they're not coming out for a long time.
So you don't like oil. How do you feel about logging?
Logging? I'm actually kind of fine with logging sites because they actually plant trees. They plant trees back to when they do it.
Some don't though.
Some don't, and that's just bad marketing skills.
Bad marketing skills mean poor stewardship.
Actually, it is just bad marketing skills because if you don't actually just crop back in, like put in more saplings, you can't farm any more trees.
Well, that's not marketing. That's just what is that? It's making a renewable resource not renewable. I mean, eventually the trees will grow back, but to your point, the turnaround time on being able to harvest the trees
Ever
will
seen the Lorax? The guy could have the Onceler could have probably made like these forests that could have been chopped down, but they kept a few trees around for like the wildlife. And that's what they even do at logging sites. They keep one part for the animals to run around and make homes in, and the other for logging and chopping and doing
well,
all
in
that. So
some places, not like in the Amazon though, right?
no, not in the
The Amazon, they
Amazon.
clear cut. That's different. So there's a selective harvest and then there's clear cutting where they cut everything down.
Yeah, and that's not good. Bad Amazon cutters.
Yes. What about what are your thoughts on cutting down a 200-year-old tree?
There's a bunch of 200-year-old trees. You probably seen a bunch when you're walking through the redwood forest.
Right, but what is your thought? Do you think we should cut down trees that are 200 years old?
Well, it's basically like saying, I want to chop down a tree that's 200 years old. See, if it's like a tree that's protected and that like it's like the tree that like is the oldest tree in California, what's it called?
Let me ask you this question. Is it better to cut down 4 50-year-old trees or one 200-year-old tree?
450-year-olds. Because if the 50-year-olds, the 200-year-olds are select ones that actually are supposed to live for a long time. They're supposed to be one of the longest living trees. But the 50-year-olds, they're gonna die in like probably 10 years or so.
Why would they die in 10 years?
Because, well, that tree, they'll die of just like not having enough nutrients around them. That'll kill them basically.
What would make them why would they just die if they were planted? Let's put it this way. If you have 4 50-year-old trees sitting right next to a 200-year-old trees, they have the same access to nutrients. They're not gonna like which
Yeah.
trees would you cut down?
basically the 50-year-old trees, they're not that sanctuary and they're not that old, so I'm pretty sure that you can cut them down just fine, right?
Well, you could do, um, I mean, you can do whatever you want. Like, you could cut down either. It's not a sanctuary, but to your point, there, you mean protected? Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
So let's say that the 200-year-old tree is not protected, and you've got, but you're right. Some people have, they're called old growth forests, but some people have protected those. But let's say they're not protected. You could cut down the 200-year-old tree or the 450-year-old trees.
Well, how many 250-year-olds are in there? One. Can I just say that?
Well,
Because if that's only one 200-year-old tree, or if it's the last one in the world, or the last one in the forest, or that's just like
there's whole stands of 250-year-old trees, but to your point, they're protected old growth forests.
exactly. So what I'm saying is like, how many are there? One, two. If there are not many, you probably shouldn't cut one down. And three, if the 50-year-old trees are old growths just like those, then you
I
probably
think for
shouldn't cut
something to
down
be
those.
old growth, they have to be over 100 years or they have to be 150 years or something. I don't know what actually
Yup.
qualifies that. So you'd rather cut down the 450-year-old trees.
Yeah.
And why? What's your final reasoning behind doing that?
I mean, there's four of them, and they're both 50. The 200-year-old tree is probably larger and can probably house more animals, while the 50-year-old trees aren't that tall and probably can't house that many animals.
What if the 200-year-old tree is bored?
What?
What if the 250-year-old tree is bored? Get my joke.
Oh my gosh. What are you saying? It's so depressed that it wants to be put out of its misery?
It was a lumber joke. Get it?
Huh?
Get it?
No, I
Besides,
don't.
I don't think any tree wants to be bored. Get it?
Please, can we just move on?
Like you think that we should cut down the 450-year-old trees. You are you are kind of right about that. So the thought is, like, how long does it take a 50-year-old tree to grow back?
Takes about 50 years.
How long does it take a 200-year old tree to grow?
200 years.
So you could plant 450-year-old trees and they would all be back in 50 years. You know,
Yeah.
and to your point, when you plant those 450-year-old trees, there's a probability that three of the four would only make it to that.
Yeah.
So you have to plant more, but it doesn't take as much time because,
Exactly.
yeah, it took well, some cases, 3 human lifetimes to get to that 200 year. Let's see. What do you, this is a good one too. The crab fisheries. Do you think that people should eat a lot of crab? Like, should it be regulated? Should they only allow for so many because king crab up in
They're endangered. Yeah, they should be regulated. They need to be like they need to have separate places of where the crabfish can't be fished because those places are where they can. It's it's like there's probably like there should be like things on the ships of where like if you see a crab with da 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 da, it's a kingfish. Do not eat those. If
king
it has
crabs
the
aren't
brrrr,
king crabs aren't in danger. Well, they try to protect them from overfishing, so you're only allowed to like all of the ships are only allowed to catch so many pounds of them. And to your point,
it's
I think
kind of like when we went deep sea fishing and we were only supposed to catch 10 rockfish,
that's right. Yep, it keeps from over harvesting.
and that can lead to only a little bit. You know, there were some monkeys that only had 10 of they could count a person, one single person could count how many monkeys there are with just their fingers. That's how little they were.
What, the monkeys were the size of people's fingers?
No, they were endangered and of how
Oh,
many monkeys there were, you could count how many monkeys there were left on the planet
uh,
by
how,
counting on your fingers.
how did they
That's how
become
many were
endangered?
left. You could count on your fingers of how many there were.
How did they become endangered?
I actually have no idea. I just heard that that's one monkey that had that happen, almost happen, that they one time went extinct and they could have just been discontinued forever.
So people weren't eating the monkeys,
No, they weren't doing. I don't really know if they were eating it. And plus, I don't
like
think people
Indiana
would.
Jones and the Temple of Doom, where they were eating monkey brains.
No.
So anyway, so yeah, you were just saying like, so
Need a little
you were
holiday
just
cheer,
thinking
need a
about there
holiday
being
beer.
monkeys, and there was only 10 of those monkeys left. Didn't have
Yeah,
anything to do with crabs. Your brain just
yeah.
went there. Okay.
Okay. Well,
All right. I think that's about it on resource extraction, right? We'll
yeah,
take
and
it.
that I was just thinking that that should be for the end for this part. We'll
Yeah.
be
So
back for the next part.
we'll take a quick break and we'll be back for our next section.
The rose confetti.
All right, and we are back for the second half of our podcast today, and you wanted to talk about the gold rush
I did,
in
and
California.
the confetti's still falling. Remember last time when I launched confetti at the end? That was
Oh,
a lot, and it's still falling. Um, either way, um, all right. So
gold
he,
rush
the gold rush is
happened
basically
in
when
1949.
no, 1849. 1849, that's why they're called 49ers. One. Two, in 1849, somebody, Marshall found gold at
Marshall.
Sutter's. It's the person who found gold at Sutter's Mill. He was one of the workers there.
Okay.
Either way, after that, he took it to somebody, and after that, they saw what it was, and he tested if it was gold or not, and he said Eureka, and that's why it's the motto of California. Either way, um basically he after Marshall told the people, the paparazzis, let's call them,
Told
it
the
got
media,
out.
the
Huh?
media, it got
The
out to the media,
media
to the
in
newspapers.
1849, everybody wanted to go to Sutter's Mill because
Everyone was
it was,
tapping away on the telegraphs, right?
yeah, and since Sutter was a farmer, that kind of ruined his business and he became broke.
Why did it ruin his business?
Because since he was a farming man and they were ruining his crops by all the mining, he just couldn't sell his wheat.
Mm. So he didn't charge people to mine on his property?
Nope, because they'd sneak in.
Oh, and he didn't wanna sell it to somebody?
No, he didn't. That was a stupid move on his part, though, because then he would have sold in, and it'd be thousands of dollars to that one guy,
Maybe
and
he was
he'd
just a
be
maybe he was just a
rich.
kind person.
Yeah, and they'd just be rich because $1,000 back then, you'd basically be a billionaire.
It was worth a lot of money back then.
Anyway, after that, people found more money in Sacramento River, like gold, more gold, and they realized that the entirety of California is infested with these gold veins.
Infested with butter.
What? Huh? Your audio
We're
just got
infested with
bad.
infested with butter.
It's not letting you say butter, Dad.
It's
It
letting me s
I every time you say butter, your voice glitches out, but I know what you mean.
infested with butter.
For you people that don't know and the viewers, butter was a thing of when we played Minecraft. When Dad found gold, he'd say, I found butter, because the new Minecraft update made it so that it looks like lumps of butter were in the
No,
deep slate,
the old
the
one
dirt.
the old Minecraft, once you would mine it, it looked like sticks of butter.
I know, and that was the ingots.
Yeah, but they looked like sticks of butter.
I know, and they still look like that.
That's why it's called butter.
Moving on.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Either way, gold's actually a very useless item in Minecraft. It's
Would
not
you
that.
would you trade gold for iron?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Seems like their priorities are off in that game.
Gold is a soft metal, even though it's called a heavy metal because it's heavy. It's very soft. So, why
What do you
would you
mean by
use it for.
soft?
Huh?
What do you mean
Like,
by soft?
you can literally bend it. If you can bite into it and it'll leave a mark. It's very soft. It can basically be it's very easy to like to like just like leave a dent in it.
In
So
pure
what
gold.
if you were using it for a pickaxe? Well, then it would immediately dull and it wouldn't be good, and it would break. And for swords, same thing.
How many carrots is your gold in Minecraft?
Don't know.
They don't have carrots in Minecraft?
They have carrots in Minecraft, just not 24 carrot. Hey,
Yep.
how do you make a gold soup? What's the recipe for gold soup?
Carrots and gold?
24 carrots.
That's funny. Okay, so back to so so the gold rush. What else do you know about it? So they were in the Sacramento River and people started panning for gold.
Other like places like streams everywhere but not like everywhere because like some streams didn't have any gold in it, and
Yeah.
that's what they found out when they were panning for it. There was no gold. There were no specks at the bottom of the thing because gold's heavy. So when you swish around dirt in a pot, all of it'll go out except the gold.
Mm, okay, that makes sense.
So anyway, after that, they realized that some of the streams don't have gold, but Sacramento was one of the big ones that had a bunch of gold and some other streams. So those ones were called pay dirt. So basically like the sand or anything on the river that was muddy, sandy, whatever. That was called pay dirt if it had gold in it, and a lot of it too.
So that's where the term pay dirt came from.
Because literally swishing up dirt will pay you in big bucks.
Mm.
It'll pay you like $2, like a few flakes, which is a lot of money.
You and I need to go panning for gold up north
I
somewhere.
think I'll do that actually on my field trip.
Oh, you guys are gonna pan for gold on your field trip, huh?
Yeah, but we can do it ourselves.
Oh.
Also,
Okay.
I did want to I did kind of want to go panning on the Snake River.
Oh yeah, that's right. We didn't bring the pans last time when we went for our Snake River trip, did we?
No, and I still want to bring that base. I still want to make the base of where like it's not like a cave, but like it has like a little staircase and the top roof stuff
Mm-hmm.
up, and then you cover that up with like sticks and stuff, and and then you got like a little place to chill at.
Mm.
I want to do that, but I kind of can't.
No, not on the beach because it'll collapse. Uh,
Oh no, I don't mean like it'll collapse. I'm not like making it a sand roof of
mm,
where it'll like literally sticks, just sticks. Like it's an open roof and it's just covered with sticks. It's not covered by any sand.
okay. Yeah, that would be tough to do also. I don't know there's enough sticks around. But
Yeah.
okay. So then they were in the Sacramento River.
Digging up gold and doing all this stuff, and basically it was a giant thing. So, but also it wasn't just gold miners, it was trappers.
Mm,
Because unlike you've ever seen, there have been a bunch of beaver pelts, a lot of pelts here. So trappers wanted to sell the pelts for money. Everybody wanted money back then. That's why they came. China came to do railroad work and even dig up gold, even laundry. So anyways, everybody was doing their own job, and they were all like, doing their own job and like, the work, and doing work, and everybody had their own like job of where they were good to, like
S
the
so the
native.
gold rush created a whole economy. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
basically in California.
Yeah, and it created a whole economy of
They
people.
would some people would go into Cape Horn and around. Sometimes they'd travel by foot and then go in through the river and stuff. So basically that's what they do. They go around, and once they got to and they'd always stop. But basically some people would come from Paris to like make grapes and to like see if they could sell grapes because maybe they didn't have that type of grape. Also potatoes because maybe they didn't have potatoes yet. It was a
Mm.
bunch of stuff.
So all sorts of things were brought here just
Uh-huh.
just to fuel the gold rush.
Yeah.
And then when did it end?
It stopped, and I think it probably stopped in about probably I'd say 1902.
Yeah, it was
And
over in
that's when it
1902.
kind of flatlined. That's when
Oh,
people stopped digging for gold. That's when the thrill stopped.
the thrill was gone.
Yeah, it kind of disappeared.
See.
All the
So
gold was mined out. Now, all the gold was basically panned out, like a lot of it.
and now it's in the stock market.
No, but there's still California is still rich with gold.
Is it?
It's just a little bit harder to find. Yeah, probably like the Posey Tube, right?
Yes.
And you go through the giant mountain. That probably has a really good amount of gold in it if you dug.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
If you were looking for it?
Yeah.
How do you know there's gold veins there, though?
I mean, gold was kind of scattered around everywhere.
Mm. So what now gold actually, gold is going up in value right now. Did you know that?
Oh really?
Because the stock market's tanking. You know why the stock market's tanking?
Trump.
Ind indirectly, yes. Do you understand tariffs?
Yeah, it's when something doesn't get delivered by other countries and we don't actually have it here. And basically we can't get it because like we're in the middle of a war with them. We won't get supplied by that country, so
So we will. They're still gonna supply us stuff.
just
Um,
not as much.
no, that's not even true too. They will supply us just as much, but when something is imported into our country, we tax it.
Uh-huh.
So he's importing across the board. He's importing across the board. Across the board on imports, he's implementing a 10% tax.
Oh,
So, do you know what that's gonna do?
no. Oh, it's gonna raise the prices.
Right, because the retailers that are selling their products here, they're not gonna wanna take a hit just because of the tariffs, so they're gonna raise all their prices by 10%. So, but it's and so then that means that the stuff that we import, like, is 10% more expensive, and so what it's supposed to do is encourage people to buy stuff that's made in the United States. But if we don't make it here in the United States, like this, where it's a 10% across the board on everything, there's plenty of things that we don't make in the United States. Like a lot of our clothes are not made here, you know,
No, they're made in China.
made in China or Vietnam or any number, Singapore. They're made in all sorts of places.
Ukraine.
I don't know about the Ukraine, but not a lot of clothes are made here, so that means that all of our clothes will go up by 10%, you know. Lumber, we actually import a lot of that from Canada, so that's gonna go up.
Oh,
Means that houses will get more expensive, right?
maple syrup.
Maple syrup will get more expensive. There are a lot of food items that we import that are gonna get more expensive. So
Ooh, it's not
that's
good.
so all these companies are gonna be impacted by that because things are gonna be more expensive. So the stock market goes down. But when the stock market goes down, things that have like a material value, that are considered a store of wealth, like gold, their prices go up when market prices go down.
So
So
basically, gold goes up when the stock price markets goes down.
yeah, so on your field trip, you had better be panning for gold like crazy because it's gonna be worth a lot more now.
I heard that in the
Go
trip
get that
they
go get that butter.
stop, man. You made it not cool, man.
You know, I need to stop that joke.
Yeah, you really do.
Or what were you gonna say?
Yeah, you really need to stop.
No, but you were gonna say something before that.
No.
Okay. Um, so final thoughts on the gold rush.
I think the gold rush was just kind of like a jump start and like of how like, it was kind of a sneak peek of how the economy could be stuff. Because it used to be that a few boat rides down the river back then was $1 now. Now for one person it's $50 back then. And it was only like a few dollars per person. It wasn't that expensive, but now it is expensive.
You're talking about inflation. Are you saying
Yeah,
that it was more expensive after the gold rush because people start charging them
in
more?
the gold rush.
Yeah, and they start charging them more?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when people have more money, then people charge more money. So this is a services like it's economics, and so services have a defined value, and that value goes up with how much money somebody makes, so what their income is. And people will use stuff as long as, or they'll buy something or they'll pay for something as long as it has value and they're willing to pay for it. So if you've got two, if you've got two people, you've got two people running a boat and one guy's charging $5 and he's filling his boat up, and there's nobody else running a boat, and the next guy's like, I'm gonna charge $10, and then he fills up his boat, then the first guy that's like, wait, I'm only charging these guys $5 and filling my boat up. I'm gonna raise my prices to $10. And then they're both doing $10. And the other guy's like, well, I'm filling my boat up. I'm gonna raise it to 15. And so those guys keep competing and it goes up. And then eventually somebody's like, forget this, I'm not gonna ride on the boat. I'll take my horse and go up the river instead, because that's cheaper. And then at that point, the
Yeah.
prices stabilize because people are finding an alternate way to to use that service.
And then stock market goes
But if people have
takes a
more,
nosedive.
but if people have more disposable income, then one day they might say like $5, yeah, I'll pay for $5 for it. And then they have way more disposable income and they're like, it's $50 now to go up the river. And they're like, you know what? I'm making so much money. I want the convenience of going up the river instead of riding on a horse. So I will pay the $50. So that's why the demand went up, and that's why the cost and the prices went up that much, because people had more disposable income in that area. Or
Oh.
they thought they were going to have more disposable income when they got up there and started mining for gold. And they're like, you know what? By the time I come back down, I'll be able to pay this back off. And so
Some didn't, and they remained broke.
they didn't.
It
Exactly.
was kind of a hit or a severe miss.
Yeah, no, it was kind of like gambling. Yeah.
It's like, I just got the best stuff ever, and then, like, sometimes it's like, I missed every single one,
Hmm. Yep.
and I got my arm shot by myself. I am unable
Having
to
bad
do
luck.
anything now, and I can't get anything now.
Yep. Time to
So
go.
it's either, like, you get super rich or you actually skyrocket and it just goes down. So either you skyrocket or it plummets very quickly down.
Hmm.
That's basically what it is.
Luck of the draw.
It is luck of the draw.
All right, dude. Well, I think this
Go
is a
to
good session.
Hangtown.
good place to wrap this up.
Yes.
So with that, I'll have you read us out.
Okay, and the confetti stopped falling.
It did stop falling.
Just now. Today's show was produced by Beckham and Brett. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify. Please subscribe to the show anywhere you listen to podcasts. Reach out with any questions, comments, or potential topics. We will respond. Have a great week.